So what is the Mosin Nagant rifle? The Mosin Nagant was developed in 1891 and is nicknamed a three-line rifle. It saw service all the way from 1891 through World War I, all the way through World War II, and still being used by third world countries today. It and its many variants. So, the first variant that we're going to go over is what is nicknamed the Dragoon. The Mosin Nagant Dragoon is, like all other Nagants, is a standard capacity of 5 rounds, and it was used by the Soviet Union in World War II. Now, the Dragoon is identical to the model 1891. However, it is a shorter variant. All other Nagant variants will feature this same exact length minus the carbines, which are shorter than this. The only difference between the Dragoon and the Model 30 is the receiver. The Dragoon is a more rare variant utilizing the hex receivers. A lot of your early Nagants had these hex receivers, while all of your later Nagants had the round receiver. So once again, the Dragoon compared to the Model 30, the only difference is the receiver. Like I saw with the Dragoon has a hex receiver, while the Model 30 indicates more of a round receiver. Type 53s are found both with and without permanently attached folding bayonets, though the former is far more common. The Chinese Type 53 carbine saw extensive service in the People's Liberation Army from 1953 and the late 1950s and early 1960s, when the PLA went over to the Chinese Type 56 carbine and the Chinese Type 56 assault rifle. Many Type 53 carbines were given to the People's Militia in China and to North Vietnam. Now, the next variant of Nagant that we are going to go over is a late war version called the Type 53. The Type 53s were a Chinese variant of the M44, which is a carbine variant of the Mosin Nagant. The Type 53, just like the M44, has a folding bayonet, unique only to those two rifles. Once again, just like the Model 30s, these late war variants also utilize a round receiver. Now, some notable differences between the Type 53 M44 and the normal Mosin Nagant is the sight block. The sight block on these rifles are significantly shorter than the ones that are on the Mosin Nagant. Some other noticeable differences that you'll notice when it comes to the Type 53 and the normal Mosin Nagant is, of course, the size of the rifle. The M44, the Type 53, are significantly shorter than the Mosin Nagant. Some other variants of carbines that you will see when it comes to the Nagant are ones such as the Model 38 and the Model 1907 carbine. Both the M38 and the Model 1907 carbines use the same bayonet as the normal Nagant does. The M39 also incorporated a semi-pistol grip into the stock, though some early examples used a typical Mosin Nagant straight stock. Only 10 rifles were completed by the end of the Winter War, but 96,800 were produced after the Winter War and used in the Continuation War. Some notable differences that you will see compared to the M39, compared to the Model 30 or Dragoons or really any other Nagant, is the Model 39 more resembles sort of like an Enfield-like stock. It also kind of shares a lot in common with the Enfield due to the cleaning rod and the front sight block. Some other differences that you will notice is the M39 has a rear sight block that is more of just a chunk of steel that is thrown on there. This one's more flat than the normal Nagant sight block, which is more rounded. Some other differences that you will notice when it comes to the M39 compared to any other Nagant are the sling placements, the sight blocks, the cleaning rods, and let alone the stock. The M39 is also a shorter rifle than the Nagant and utilizes a different bayonet. The M39 will use more of a traditional blade bayonet than it would a normal Nagant, where the normal Nagants use more of a nail or spiker bayonet. Now, all of the rifles shown in this video shoot the same round, 7.62 by 54R, which looks like this. Now, all of them also use the same stripper clip, and it's just a standard issued Mosin Nagant stripper clip. Now, really, any Mosin Nagant equipment that is foreign will go with and can go with the Russian Nagant equipment, such as some of the stripper clips that were made. The Finnish ones will also fit into the Russian Nagant pouches. Russia also made a lot of different variants of stripper clips as well. Some of them had little ears on them to hold the rounds in, while others were just chunks of steel. Russian Nagant equipment is fairly easy to come across, and they're not really that difficult to find. You can also get them for a really decent price. For instance, like Mosin Nagant pouches, I come across these personally all the time. Oil bottles, you come across these all the time. This one in particular is a World War I. Stripper clips, they are not that difficult to come across. You can come across them fairly easily. The rounds are easy to get, and let alone, you can come across the bayonets fairly easily. The Mosin Nagant Model 30 was a rifle that was modified into a sniper rifle and used by the Red Army during World War II. Some modifications consisted of the bolt handle that was turned downward to prevent it from hitting the optical sight. The foresight was raised to allow for open sights on targets up to 600 meters away. The trigger pull was also lightened. The rifle was first fitted with German mounts and scopes, then domestic designs from 1931 from 1942. It was issued with a 3.5-pound PU fixed focus scope. Russia produced around 330 Model 30 sniper rifles between 1941 and 1943. They remained in use until 1963, when they were replaced by the Dragoon SVD. Another Nagant variant that I would like to talk about are the sniper variants of the Mosin. The sniper Mosin Nagants are unique and very iconic rifles. What makes them unique is, one, they are the scoped variants. Two, they have a cutout spot in the wood stock for the mount to go on. Another thing that is very unique when it comes to the sniper Mosin Nagants are the bolts. The bolt on a traditional Mosin Nagant, and really any other variant, is short and stubby with the ball at the end. Now, the sniper variants have a longer bolt that is bent. That way it can get around the scope and you are still able to use the bolt very effectively.